Welcome back to Grid Drop. Today is episode 2 of the F1 Manager 22 journey, obviously with Aston Martin. Bahrain, not really too great of a result. We beat the Williams, so that's something good that we had under our belt last race. But round 2 is in Saudi Arabia at Jeddah. A high-speed circuit, obviously, so hopefully there's going to be some safety cars, some mistakes from the AI, and I think it'll be a good one. I'm not really too sure how our car will perform around here, but I'm shooting for at least a P15 finish. That means we'd beat the Williams and one or two other competitors, so not really too sure who that's going to be. It looks like Haas is probably the next slowest car, so I think that they're going to be our next target. So here we go for the race weekend.
Radio check.
Yep, I want to clear it.
Okay, it's green now.
So Lance Stroll can hear, which is a good sign. So yeah, here we're simulated through the practice sessions. As for upgrades, we didn't really have... We had the funds to develop some new car parts, but unfortunately our research slots are both taken up right now with the front wing and the underfloor upgrades that we have being researched and designed. So I couldn't really do too much on that front. So in Q1 right now, I'm hoping we can get through to Q2 with at least one of the cars. Obviously, we're a really far back marker team, so I'm not really too sure how that will pan out. I don't think we'll get through to Q2. But like I said, Jeddah's very high-speed, unforgiving circuit. So if there's some type of penalty given to an AI in qualifying, then we can definitely capitalize off that. If there's some type of grid drop, kind of ironic. But yeah, so we'll have to see if we can capitalize on one of those, but unfortunately it doesn't really look like there will be. Here's Lance on his second lap. He set a banker time the first time around, and he's very much in danger of getting knocked out in Q1. Unfortunately, he's in a lot of traffic. I sent him out early. I wanted him to be fighting in clear air at the front of the pack and not really get stuck behind too many people. Unfortunately, the way these cars drive in this game, they drive very weirdly and then take some strange lines when they're in traffic or behind other cars. So I wanted at least one of the cars to be in clean air, and I just sent him out a little bit too early. So obviously he's suffering from a lot of traffic in the way during his push lap, and then that obviously results in him not improving. So all hope lies on Seb to exit Q1 and get into Q2. I really hope he could get into Q2. That would be a major step forward for Aston Martin, and only the second race. So obviously someone needs to get knocked out in Q1. Williams are probably going to be down there. I don't really know who else. I think the Haas cars are probably the next most likely candidates to get knocked out in qualifying 1, but we'll have to see when Seb comes up to the line. He's pretty far at the back of the pack, so I believe when he gets across the line, we should have a good idea of who else is going to get knocked out in Q1. So yeah, some weird lines, obviously. I don't really know why these cars drive like this in this game. I don't really know if it affects times or not. But yeah, so Seb is coming around the last corner now, and he's going to have to put some good power down and get a good exit, and hopefully he can make a run up to the line and get out of Q1. So we'll see where his lap takes us. And we are out of Q1. So both drivers eliminated. It looks like both the Williams were eliminated as well, so that's a good sign at least for us, because that's probably who we'll be racing. So yeah, on to the race.
It's race day, and final preparations are underway.
Aston Martin were on target for qualifying. Now it's up to them to defy expectations for the race itself.
All right. As for strategy, I'm not really too sure what the AI are going to do. I assume it's going to be a one-stop, probably mediums to hards, something around there. So we're looking at the strategy of both drivers. I'm looking at the different options here. For Seb, I think I want to try a two-stop. The two-stop that was recommended that made the most sense was soft to hard to medium. But we have two sets of mediums that are 100%, no tire wear at all. So they're brand new. So I'm going to do soft to two sets of mediums. And hopefully that gives us the longevity to make it to the end of the race. It should. The tire wear doesn't look too bad. Right now I'm just fiddling with the pit stops to see the best time for the race overall. But yeah, so Seb's going to be on the two-stop. I'll probably split the strategy and put Lance on a one-stop. That way you can have 2 different box laps for the cars, and that way it kind of opens up the race a little bit more for safety cars or VSCs or something of that nature, where we can kind of change the strategy. But so yeah, Lance on the 1-stop, Seb on the 2-stop. I'm hoping for around P15 this race. That would be a pretty good step forward. So yeah, here we go for the race.
It's almost time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
All right, we are racing here in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, hopefully P15 is on the card, so let's get into it. Obviously, like I said earlier, the strategies are split, so Seb should be pretty quick through this first stint on softs. Everyone else seems to be on mediums. I believe the only other car on soft is Kevin Magnussen. We can see Stroll get overtaken there by Nicholas Latifi. So Stroll is in last place behind both of the Williams, and he's on medium. So hopefully he can kind of kick it into gear. I put him on aggressive pace and full push for fuel. And yeah, you can see Crofty loves Nicholas Latifi overtake. Hopefully we can get him back pretty quickly. Seb looks like he could be going for a move there, but I guess he's a little bit too far back. But yeah, like I was saying, I put both the cars on aggressive pace mode and full push on fuel. I'm deploying ERS for both of them as well, just to try to make up some places when these cars are all bunched up. It seems like that's probably going to be the best strategy for this backmarker team. Obviously, we're not really slow to have the pace to keep up with people in front once the race kind of opens up a little bit more. So our best bet is to really push when everyone's backed up and all in one pack at the very beginning of the race. So hopefully Seb can kind of burn through these softs. Obviously, he's going to be stopping around lap, I think 7 or 8 is when his pit window opens. So he's got a couple laps to just really burn through these tires and try to make some places up. So if Seb can make up probably two or 3 places, I mean 3 places would probably be ideal. But if Seb can pick up some spots off the start, that would be very, very ideal. And it looks like he's way too far back to make a move on the Haas ahead. So this might be a kind of a Bahrain 2.0. Last race, if you didn't see that episode, you didn't really miss much. We really struggled with tire wear. We were pushing a lot, trying to keep up with the guys ahead, and unfortunately the pace was just way too slow. We had to burn through tires, and ended up shooting ourselves in the foot because we had no tires at the end of the race. So kind of we're backed up against the wall in Bahrain. Hopefully that's not the case here. Seb actually sticking to these guys in front a little bit. Lance is sticking with the Williams, but unfortunately Latifi and Albon are a little bit slower. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. Oh, and we can see a McLaren in the wall. Not really sure what happened there. I'm sure we'll get a replay in a second. I believe that was Lando Norris who fell down the order. And we have a safety car, our first safety car in F1 Manager. A little bit too early to do anything strategy-wise.
Sounds like there's been a crash. We can take a look now. Watch this. We're looking at Lando Norris. Thank goodness nobody else was involved. That was a big crash.
Well said. That was a nasty one. I'm not really sure why he just didn't turn. Just didn't turn the wheel there. So safety car coming in this lap. I fast forwarded a little bit. I put them on conserve on their pace just to save some tires a little bit. Obviously, the safety car will help out the tire wear, so we can go a little bit further into the stint than we would normally. So that helps out a little bit for tire wear. More so for Lance. Obviously, Seb is on the 2-stop, so he's going to be boxing and
Happy to push.
probably 4 laps, 5 laps anyway. So that's not really too crazy. But yeah, so that's kind of nice actually. Safety car bunches everyone up, and on the restart on the main straight, here we go. We're back into it. Hopefully Seb can make a move on Mick Schumacher here. I put him into drive into clean air, and he goes up the inside. He's very late on the brakes, and it looks like he has the move done. Mick's coming back up to the inside of turn 2. So it's going to be a drag race, but it looks like Seb got the power down. He could even go for Ricardo here. And he backs out. Don't really know why they always back out of moves in this game. It's kind of annoying. That would seem like a pretty open invitation to stick it up the inside right there and get Ricardo too. And Lance Stroll is now fighting with Albon, and he backs out as well. Loses a lot of time with that backing out as well. So, both cars had an opportunity there, and unfortunately both cars kind of fumbled it a little bit. Stroll's ahead of Latifi though, which is good. So Stroll made up that place on the restart, and he could have got Albon as well, but unfortunately just didn't really have the balls to make that one stick. Yeah, so two positions gained off the restart, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, Lance is kind of fallen back a little bit. He's actually starting to gain the time back a little bit, but luckily the cars are bunched up ahead still, so he can gain some time in the braking zones. But Seb is sticking with the pack pretty well. Obviously, he's on softs. They have a little more life in them now. You can see they're on 82% are his softs, so we can probably go further into the stint. You can see in his tire wear right there that they're much above the anticipated level, obviously because of those 2 or 3 laps on their safety car. But yeah, so Seb will probably box around, man, maybe lap 10, depending on tire wear. I'm gonna really push him. He's in standard mode right now, but I'm gonna, yeah, here we go, put him into attack. Now's the time to make up places, seriously. So most of these guys are on a 1-stop, so we really need to make up some places in order to make the 2-stop work. Even if we can keep the Haas and both the Williams behind, I think that's a pretty good step forward from Bahrain. Obviously, there's no new upgrades on the car or anything like that. We don't have any development boosts for the drivers. So this is the same package from Bahrain. And it seems to be going a little bit better. We're sticking with the guys ahead definitely more cleanly. We're not really burning all ERS and burning our pace just to keep up with them. So we're able to save tires a little bit more effectively. So that's a plus. I'm actually quite surprised. I thought Jeddah would be a very high tire degradation circuit for our car. You can see Seb's getting close to his first pit window. Not really sure what that line was through there. Definitely lost some time there as well. But yeah, we're heading into lap 10. I cut and skipped a couple laps ahead. And it looks like we can go for a move on Ricciardo here. DRS is open, and Lance Stroll is shaping up for a move on Albon too. So this could be another scenario where we get 2 cars at the same exact time. And it looks like Vettel had to back out, but Lance Stroll is going to make that move stick. So he is now into P17. So Vettel P15, Lance P17. If we can keep these cars in this order, I'd be pretty pleased with this race. That's both Williams behind. And now I really want Lance to try to stick it to Mick Schumacher and catch up with him and potentially overtake him as well. So here's a replay of Lance's move. Just pretty clean, using DRS at the inside into turn 1. Pretty much as basic of an overtake that you can get, especially in this game. So, yeah, not anything too crazy there. Obviously, we saw it on the actual camera. I didn't really need a replay there, but figured you might as well get a second camera angle too. So yeah, Vettel is probably going to pit in a couple laps. Obviously, that safety car helped him out with tire wear. Kind of falling back from Ricciardo. Not really too sure if that's a pace problem or a tire problem or if it's just the nature of the car. You can see lap 10 here. Ricciardo has pulled a 2-second gap, so we stopped pushing fully with ERS and full pace mode, and we instantly lost touch to the guys in front. So unfortunately, we couldn't keep that up all race no matter what. I mean, even with that safety car and tires helping out, we really couldn't keep that up. So Mick Schumacher looks like he's getting a little feisty behind us, but it doesn't look like he has the pace to pass us on this straight. But we're gonna have to keep an eye on him and make sure he doesn't overtake us. I think having that Haas behind us is definitely something definitely someone I want to keep behind us. In Bahrain, we had a lot of faster cars behind us. Alonso locked up and made a mistake, and he was behind us. I wasn't really too concerned when we let him through. That was kind of going to happen eventually, no matter what. I mean, he's a much faster car. The Haas, though, is definitely faster than us, but it's a much more realistic car to be fighting. So I'm going to try to keep Mick behind. I think we can, especially once we get onto the mediums. They have a little bit more longevity in the tires, and they should last us a decent amount of time. The one thing is we're going to be in a 2-stop, so once we get on these mediums, we really need to fly and probably push as long as we can. So obviously Vettel's coming in this lap. This is box lap. Softs seem to be kind of gone.
Just need to charge up.
They're at 40%, so I'd just rather get him on newer tires quicker. Lance obviously doesn't really have any problems. He's on mediums, and his tires are still definitely in operating range. Not really too many threats of lockups or spins or anything like that, which starts to happen when you have lower percentage of your tires in this game. So yeah, right now not really too much going on. Just trying to keep Mick behind. If he does pass us this lap, it's not really too concerning, given that we're boxing anyway. But just holding him up for this long has definitely helped us in a very good way. Unfortunately, yeah, here we go. Mick passes us. Like I said, not really too concerned. We held him up for long enough. He's definitely in a quicker car, so holding him up was nice, but who knows? We might not even really be racing the Haas's yet at this stage of the car. So Vettel's in, lap 12. He's going to go on to mediums. Now is when we hope for a safety car in probably the next 10 laps, or after the next 10 laps. That'll be when Lance's pit window opens, so I would prefer to get a safety car around there and kind of just save us time on the pit stop. Lance is actually pretty far behind. He's keeping Albon behind, which is good. He's got a 1.3 second gap to Albon, so he's maintaining that gap. Obviously, Albon's on mediums as well, so they're on the same tire. Pretty much same car performance realistically. I mean, the Williams are barely slower than us, so keeping him behind is good. I definitely want the Williams to stay behind Stroll. He's kind of going to be the rear gunner for today's race. I want Vettel, if possible, on the two-stop to catch up to these guys and then overtake Stroll. Do a little bit of team orders there. And looks like Ocon spun.
Have a look. Now have a watch of this. Looks like Ocon. That looked like a very nasty spin.
Unfortunately, no VSC or safety car or anything from that. Obviously, he just spun. He didn't crash or anything like that. So, yeah, as I was saying, Lance is going to be pretty strong on the mediums. He's getting closer to his pit window. I would prefer to get a safety car around Lance's pit window. That could even call for potentially a move from Seb onto hards, probably at the very end of the safety car, like the lap before we were back to green flag running. So that would definitely be an ideal situation. If not, a late race safety car where we could both go on to softs. Vettel still has a set of new softs, and Lance obviously does as well. They were not used in qualifying because we didn't make it through to Q2. So, yeah, a late race safety car would definitely be a big thing, and we get passed by Magnussen. So Kevin Magnussen goes around the outside of turn 1, which turns to the inside in turn 2, and he just makes that move stick pretty cleanly. Didn't really seem too difficult for him. So,
yeah, it's insane how bad we are.
Indeed, Lance Stroll, that is showing how bad we are. Overtaken by Haas. At the beginning of this race, I thought Haas might be an opponent, based on keeping Mick behind for so long and overtaking him after that safety car restart, but unfortunately it looks like they might just be a little bit too quick for our car at this stage. That had nothing really to do with tires. I checked the tire wear for the field, and Magnussen was, well, he's on fresh hards, so that's not really too concerning that he passed us on fresh tires. So Magnussen's on the two-stop as well. He's going, I believe, soft to hard to medium, as the game suggested in the strategy section before we started the race. So yeah, putting Lance onto hards now. Unfortunately, that safety car did not come. I was potentially thinking about keeping Lance up for a little bit longer, just to hope for that safety car, but at this stage we'd probably just be losing pace and maybe get swallowed up by Albon behind, and I'd rather keep the gap to Albon than kind of hope for a safety car and have it not happen, and then have Albon catch up. So given that Albon has better tire wear, yeah, it was just safer to box Lance on his selected strategy. So unfortunately, not really too much is going on. So Vettel is back past Mick Schumacher. Mick boxed. He's on the one stop as well. So Vettel's back past, and Stroll is P17 again. So we're back into P15, P17. Hopefully we can make that work. Mick is really putting the pressure on. We're yellow in Sector 1. Hopefully that turns into a safety car of some sort. That'll alleviate the pressure, and it does. So we get a VSC. Not really too sure what happened there. But the VSC has definitely helped. It takes us, gives us some space to breathe from Mick Schumacher, who is really putting the pressure on behind us, and I really want to keep him behind. So I was given the option to box this lap under VSC. Unfortunately, it's not a full safety car, so we wouldn't get that full benefit of boxing under safety car. I could put hards on. They would definitely make it to the end of the race, but I'm just not too sure if that might be a little counterintuitive after using a set of softs and committing to the two-stop so early on. So we're going to stick on the two-stop and see how that works out for us. Hopefully Vettel can kind of pick up the pace and get moving a little bit more.
Let's see what happened there. Now let's look. We're watching Nicholas Latifi. And there we see the crash.
Latifi's crash is a little bit reminiscent of his outing in Jeddah in 2022 in real life. He kind of had a very similar crash. It was a different corner, but that looked a little similar to me, so I threw that clip in there. That was pretty funny. Go Tifi. But yeah, just speeding up a little bit. Still under VSC. It's actually quite a long VSC. I don't really know. I mean, Latifi's not out of the race, so he's back in the pits either now or at some point. Yeah, you can see he's in the pit lane now on the leaderboard right there. But I don't really know why it's taking so long. I guess there's debris to clean up, but I mean, it's been like 2 full laps under safety car now, or VSC, so kind of a long one for that kind of small crash. But yeah, so committing to the 2-stop with Vettel. I'm not really too worried about Stroll this weekend. He has decent pace. He's keeping Albon behind. He's maintaining the gap pretty consistently. It's not like he's making too many mistakes or anything like that, so I'm not really too worried about managing Stroll. I'm much more concerned about managing Vettel and making sure this 2-stop can work. Unfortunately, it looks like Tsunoda might be kind of far away. We're 3 seconds back. But again, we're on faster tires, so it shouldn't really be a problem to close that gap. I know catching is different than overtaking. It's much harder to overtake than it is to catch someone, so I have that in mind, obviously. But I'm really surprised that we don't have the pace to keep up with Stroll. We're on aggressive mode for push. We're fully pushing on fuel, and ERS is right now, it's on neutral to harvest a little bit, but I've been deploying ERS, and it's just not really doing anything. We can see Mick Schumacher just has too much pace for us. He's going around the outside. We're on mediums. We're on fresher mediums, and he's on hard. So we just don't have the pace this weekend. This car is it's true. It's a tractor. It's the Aston Martin tractor. But it looks like we might be getting Mick Schumacher back on the main straight. So he had the pace to pull away initially, but with DRS, we have the pace to pass him back. So into turn 1 up the inside, and give him kind of a wide berth there, a lot of racing room, and we make that move work. So a little bit of battling for P15 there. Unfortunately, that slowed us way down, and we have a larger gap to Tsunoda ahead. Not going to watch the replay. We saw it happen live, so don't really need to see another angle. But yeah, so that kind of shows us we do have the pace to fight the Haas if the time is right. Obviously, we had DRS there. If we didn't, he definitely would have pulled away. But we have other tools to fight that. I could have gone up into overtake for DRS, but yeah, it's just the fact that we're on mediums and struggling to keep Mick behind on hard. So we should be quicker on a 2-stop, just raw pace wise, and we're not. So again, falling back from Tsunoda, or at least consistently staying at the same distance, but it's just not enough pace. The car doesn't have enough pace to keep up with these guys, even on the faster tires. So unfortunately, we can't really design any car parts or anything either. Both the slots are taken up, so we can't really do much about the pace as of right now. And it looks like Mick is coming up for a move, potentially up the inside into turn 1, and we're going into defense mode. Hopefully we can keep him behind, and it looks like we can. So I'm actually pretty pleased. I'm surprised that we can keep the Haas behind. I wasn't really too sure who we would be racing going into this weekend. I was hoping we would at least be a good amount ahead of the Williams.
Haas with an overtake. We can take a look now. Right, watch this. There's Schumacher.
So unfortunately, we get overtaken by Mick there. Not ideal. I really want to try to keep up with him, though. I think we do have the pace to keep up with the Haas's. So I really want to try to stick with him. We're going to try to burn some fuel, ERS, put up full attack mode. I really want to try to keep up with Mick. Nearing our second pit window now. Probably still planning on going on to mediums. I'm not really too sure if softs would make it. If we go deeper into the pit window, we could potentially put on some softs and just have to keep it into standard pace mode. But it looks like right now, even on mediums, we're not going to be able to keep up with this guy. He's on hard, so he has kind of longer longevity in his tires. So he's going to have more pace towards the end of the race than we will on mediums. But if we can just go deeper into the pit window, we can go onto softs and then maybe have an outside chance of catching up with this guy. So unfortunately, that's going to dump us by... Oh, and Vettel locks up. That is not ideal. So he's definitely not catching up with Mick in this stint now. So we're going to have to box him right away. That probably means his tires are shot. Unfortunately, I make a little bit of a mistake here. I wasn't aware that it was lap 30. I didn't look. And I thought I was about lap 35, and I figured 15 laps or 16 laps or so on softs would be manageable if we keep them in standard and don't really push too hard. Unfortunately, that was not the case. It is lap 30, so he has to do 20 laps on softs. Not impossible by any means. There's going to have to be some more management of his tires, to say the least. So again, not really too worried about Stroll. He's kind of doing his own thing. He's keeping that gap to Albon. He's actually increasing the gap to Albon, so he is pretty solidified in that place. He's much too far back from Vettel to do anything, even after that mistake, and he's far ahead of Albon. So looks like Stroll is just going to kind of be stuck in P17 the rest of the race. I'm not really too sure.
Push now.
I mean, if we get a safety car, we can see what we'll do with that, but Stroll is definitely going to just be staying on the hards. Like I said, unless there's some major change that would affect strategy. But so yeah, here's Stroll coming around the last corner. I haven't really checked in with him at all this race. Like I said, he's just kind of doing his own thing, maintaining the gaps. So not really too concerning there. So Latifi is way far back, obviously. He's about a minute behind Albon, so he's probably already lapped at this point. Here's Vettel coming into the box on a set of soft tires. So they are brand new softs. They're 100%. So
here's the replay. Now look at this. It was the AlphaTauri driver involved.
That's a spin.
There it is. That's where they spin out.
So unfortunately, no VSC or safety car from that. I think that actually would have hurt us, though. We were in the box, but we had already completed our pit stop, so we only would have gained about like 5 seconds from that safety car, so it wouldn't really have helped us. The one thing that would have helped if we had an actual safety car is it would have bunched up the field, and we would be on brand new softs, so that would be definitely a huge help. But as for timing, it wouldn't really have changed anything in the pit stop. But yeah, so definitely going to do some managing. If you look at the tire wear prediction on Vettel's tires, they're not going to make it to the end of the race. So that was a huge miscalculation by me, which is pretty stupid considering that this game is about managing, and I managed poorly. So just a big mistake there for me. I didn't mean to do that. Definitely should have gone onto the mediums, but we're not going to box again. Obviously, that would put us way out of the race. So Vettel is at least still in front of Latifi. So we're running P16 and P18 right now. I would hope Vettel can catch up on softs to Albon at least. But again, he can't even go onto standard pace mode because the tires won't make it to the end. So he's doing a lot of conserving. We can see lap 41 out of 50 now. I skipped ahead a little bit. And yeah, the tire wear is decent. He's on standard pace now. I think I underestimated how well conserving tires would work on the pace mode. So going balanced on fuel now, balanced on pace, and neutral on ERS. Hopefully just the raw advantage of soft tires can keep up with Albon. I would be pleased if we got P16 and P17 finish, at least beating both the Williams. Obviously Norris is out, so if we had full cars running, we wouldn't even be into P16. So yeah, unfortunately, just don't have the pace to keep up with the Haas cars today. Lap 46 now. I'm just skipping ahead. Nothing really happened by the end of this race. Everyone was just kind of doing their own thing. Stroll, I was monitoring him. He was able to keep that gap steady to Albon. I put him in standard everything just to make sure we're not going to risk any type of mistake or lockup or spin or anything like that. Obviously, his tires are getting on the lower scale, so I want to kind of minimize the opportunity of a mistake like that. So yeah, unfortunately, Vettel really isn't catching up that much. The gap is coming down, but it's pretty inconsistent. If I put him on standard pace mode, the gap goes down, and then the tires get a little bit worryingly low, and then I put him back onto conserve. You can see here I just did that. I put him back onto light, and the gap increases. So I'm surprised that the soft tires don't have enough pace versus a set of very old hards, but it's just because we put them on so early. If we had waited maybe 2 more laps, I don't think the gap really would have been going down to Albon, and we could have put on softs later and caught up with Albon by the end of the race. But unfortunately, we made that mistake. Should have gone on to mediums. If we did go on to mediums, I believe we would have passed Albon, but I don't think we would have had the pace to catch Stroll, just based on where Albon is in the race and where Stroll is. So maybe we could have, but again, even passing Stroll, that'd be absolutely the maximum.
We can push more.
Haas and everyone is just way too fast for us this weekend, unfortunately. At least we had some better moments than in Bahrain. At least we could overtake some cars other than the Williams. So at least we're not just completely defending the entire race. Obviously, we defended from Mick for a while, but he's in a faster car. That's to be expected. But we fought pretty well with the Haas cars, so I'm not too concerned with that kind of battle. I think once these upgrades come on, in about a race's time, they'll do enough to give us some more pace and hopefully
3 more laps. 3 more laps.
Get more of a battle going, especially with Haas. I want to try to pull away from Williams as quick as I can. I don't like battling with the Williams cars. It's pretty much guaranteed, unless we make a huge strategy call that totally screws up a race, it's pretty much guaranteed that we'll beat them. So just racing them is just a waste of our time. It makes us slower, and we can't make up the gap to cars in front. So looks like Tsunoda made another mistake there, so he must have very, very low tires. I didn't check at this stage because it's lap 49 and these positions are pretty solidified. But yeah, just speeding through the rest of the race a little bit. Lap 50 now. Verstappen is the winner, to be expected, obviously. So Leclerc won in Bahrain. Verstappen wins in Saudi Arabia. So that's a pretty good championship battle. That's actually very true to real life. Obviously, Verstappen had a DNF in real life, and in this game, I believe he got P2 or P3. So yeah, kind of an interesting championship battle. I'm going to try to keep tabs on that in the future. I know I say that in my team too, but I just kind of forget. But F1 Manager is definitely a lot more manageable to keep up with the fight at the top than my team. I'm a little bit more focused on the track and driving and stuff in my team, but I'll try to keep tabs on that in the future, like I said. Yeah. Lap 50, pretty disappointing race. If I went on to mediums with Vettel, I think that would have given us at least the P16 and P17 finish for our cars and both beat the Williams. But, you know, no harm, no foul. There's no points on the line anyway, so it's not really too much of an issue. I'm still getting used to this game, honestly. Like I said, last race was my first one. This is my second time playing this game, so I'm still kind of learning, getting the hang of how the pace modes work, how they affect tire degradation, when to use the different ERS modes, for example, like overtake versus defend versus deploy, when to use neutral and harvest. So that there's a lot of kind of nitpicky details in this game that I want to get used to. So yeah, race over. Not really the best showing. So that's P17 and P18. So that's in the standings. Just based on race results. So we're at least ahead of the Williams in standings. Obviously no points to our name yet. We just need a crazy race to open up. That's all we need. Once we get one of those crazy races, we can try to take advantage of some type of late safety car and hopefully get into the points. Obviously, we're going to need more pace, though. We can't fight the Haas's and really anyone else in front of that. We got close to Ricciardo at one point, but that's when everyone was backed up. So I don't know. Unfortunately, the car just doesn't have enough pace and its kind of natural state. We really need the help of DRS and utilizing ERS and trying to manage the tires. So yeah, not really ideal. But so looking at the car parts development, I'm just going to add some engineers to the stuff we have developing right now. It's just taking too long. So we put that on right before Bahrain. And now we are increasing the engineers on both the projects, so that way it speeds up a little bit quicker. There are no more slots for development, so these are the only two things I can develop right now. So I might as well up the engineers. So it's 4 for each project, so 8 out of 10 total engineers are now working on the front wing and the underfloor. So hopefully those can go on sometime around Australia, probably right after Australia. There's a good amount of time between this race and round 3. Like I said, in Australia. So once we add these engineers, hopefully they can develop the car a little bit quicker because we definitely need those upgrades. So yeah, not my best showing. Made that mistake with Vettel on lap, 30 to box. Yeah, still getting used to the game. Unfortunately, not really too good at it yet. But a lot of it is to blame on the car. I'm going to be that guy and kind of blame it on the car. It's a very slow car. So we can see some of our facility upgrades are complete now, which is good. One of them being the weather center, so that is definitely very good for when we have a wet race. We'll at least be more prepared to switch on to wet and dry compounds, that is when the race will open up for us. I think wet and dry races are definitely going to be something that we can take advantage of. The AI seem to be a little bit stupid when it comes to picking strategies for wet and dry compounds, especially when they change in the middle of the race, so like when to go into dries and when to go into wets. And as a player, you definitely have a little bit more intuition as to what to do. So the Weather Center will definitely help us out in that department, and we'll be able to fight that way. So we, at this stage, not a lot of pace. Definitely need some lucky safety cars or just some luck in general to go our way in order to get close to the points. But yeah, thank you if you've made it this far. I know it's probably quite boring. It's kind of a boring race. My commentary sucks. I'll get better at it. But yeah, kind of a disappointing race overall. So hopefully some improvements on the horizon in Australia. Hopefully some improvements on the horizon with those upgrades. But for now, we are a tractor. So unfortunately, those are the words I leave you with. And if you made it this far, thank you. And I'll see you in the next one.